today on For What It's Nerd, we are discussing the cast of Avengers Doomsday. Let's get into it. First up, let's read all of the characters on here that we'll kind of go through and just dissect each one. So, of the Avengers kind of roster, the kind of base universe roster, so to speak, you have Chris Hemsworth, but I'll read them as the characters actually. Thor, Loki, Captain America, Ant-Man, Black Panther, Shang-Chi, the Falcon, and M'Baku. And then Thunderbolts, we have the Winter Soldier, Yelena Belova, US Agent, Red Guardian, Ghost, and Sentry. Now, it says Bob in here, but we know that they're playing Sentry. Lewis Pullman is playing Sentry. So that's the kind of characters who are in the MCU so far, or known to be in the MCU so far. And then, here's where it gets interesting, they revealed a lot of X-Men characters as well. Not just X-Men characters, but X-Men actors as well. Previous X-Men actors with Professor X, Magneto, Cyclops, and Mystique. Now, all of those are, again, the actors who played them originally, that being Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James Marsden, and Rebecca Romijn. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And then you're also going to have Alan Cumming and Kelsey Grammer, who played Nightcrawler and Beast. Then you have the Fantastic Four, all of the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, The Thing, and the Human Torch. Tenoch Major is also playing, coming back as Namor. As well as that, you have your usuals. You have Robert Downey Jr. As well. So you have your typical Robert Downey Jr. as well. That's what I'm trying to say there. So really, those first big handful, I'd say, not surprising. What regards Thor, maybe a little bit surprising, because I don't know if we knew if we were to see him again for a while. They could have maybe done a Captain America Civil War and not had him be there, but I'm glad he's going to be. Tom Hiddleston, I mean, he has to be there. Loki's the center of the multiverse right now. It would be weird if he wasn't. Anthony Mackie and Danny Ramirez, the Falcon and Captain America, they were going to obviously be there. They've only just had their first outing and they're rebuilding the Avengers. Paul Rudd, it's kind of, I'm glad that he's going to be back, because he didn't really get a big chance in the Avengers movies last time. He was kind of not really in the first one, and then he was in Civil War, and then he wasn't in Infinity War at all, and then in Endgame he was there, but like not really doing much. So kind of nice to see him back. Letitia Wright and M'Baku. Now that one's an interesting one to me, because Black Panther, Letitia Wright, I get it, but M'Baku being there, I think they're kind of going to give Winston Duke a bigger role as M'Baku, because if you think about it, Ramonda's dead. Okoye is no longer really part of the government, so to speak, not part of the Dora Milaje. So that's interesting in its own right. And then you have Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, which again, he's only had one movie, so it makes sense he's coming back. I'm kind of peeved that don't get me wrong, I didn't think they were all going to die, but I'm kind of peeved they've just basically told us that all of the Thunderbolts, even Sentry, is going to be in the movie. All I can think is, and I don't know if this is a silly thing to suggest, but all I can think is that at the end of the movie, Sentry is about to kill them all, and then something happens that basically sets them all on this path towards Doomsday in some way, for them all to be still together. That's what I'm thinking, because interestingly though, Taskmaster isn't there, which we've all been wondering if Taskmaster was going to survive the movie. Potentially not, but it is a little bit of a spoiler for the movie. It's giving Spider-Man 2 being announced before Endgame had come out. That's what it's giving. And then we get to the really interesting stuff, the X-Men reveal. Well, actually, do you know what? We'll circle back to that. First off, the Fantastic Four. I mean, you can't have a Doom movie without the Fantastic Four, so that's not even worth commenting on. And Namor and Doom have history as well, and so did the Fantastic Four and Namor. So again, that kind of makes sense to me. But the X-Men tells a lot about where I think this movie's going. If you've read the original Secret Wars comic, what happens in that comic is that the Beyonder selects a number of people from kind of basically the three backgrounds. You have the Fantastic Four, apart from Sue Storm, ironically. You have the X-Men, a number of them, not necessarily this set, though Magneto, Cyclops, and Professor X do end up on there. And then you have Avengers as well. You have Iron Man, of course, not Iron Man in this instance, but you have Iron Man, which I believe at that point was actually Rhodey anyway. So potentially, if he's in the movie, I know he wasn't announced here, but anyway. And then you had Cap. You had Monica Rambeau, which arguably she's going to be in the movie, because she was with Kelsey Grammer's Beast at the end of the Marvels. And then there was a few others. There was a few other Wasp and stuff like that. It was Janet Van Dyne in that instance, but still, either way, basically, I think that you're going to see an adaptation of in this first part of that, where you get all these heroes kind of coming together, and they're not necessarily happy with the fact that they're all from different. Well, in this instance, they're going to be from different timelines, but they're all from different places, and they're all trying to work together, and they can't work together. They find it hard to work together. So I think that's what's going to happen. What will be interesting, though, is Doomsday actually going to be about Doom, or is it going to be about stopping the Beyonder? And Doom has somehow caused this in some way, or is somehow going to benefit from the Beyonder's power? Because in the comic, that's what Doom's trying to do. He's trying to take the power of the Beyonder to grow stronger. Now, as well, obviously, the second Secret Wars comic is about two worlds colliding. Not dissimilar in terms of the same idea as Battle World, but in that sense. But in that one, Doom becomes God Emperor, and now we know from those leaked photos we discussed not long ago that was the case for that. That was like in the images, and that was there. So even though the Russos have said that that's not the case, if they're pulling from both those comics, I can't see why it wouldn't be the case that you would see basically Doom siphon the power of the Beyonder, and become God Emperor for the second movie, the actual Secret Wars movie, potentially. Who knows? Or maybe the Beyonder in this universe is some kind of power that Doom has or has created, instead of like an actual entity, because it feels like we have a lot of entities, and you don't want to kind of introduce both Doom and the Beyonder in one movie, like as both villains, so to speak, or like antagonists. So really, I don't know where this is going to go. I think it's an interesting one. I think I'm excited to see a lot of these people play off each other, right? It's going to be very interesting. I hope they don't necessarily. I kind of want it to be a messy kind of everyone's involved at once. I don't kind of want, like, I understand they do this a lot in movies that are bigger, but I don't kind of want like teams of three. I kind of want to see interactions with everyone. Like, there's so many people who haven't really interacted in the MCU. Like, I believe Thor and Spider-Man basically haven't spoken once, for example. That's a shame. You know, I hope like you have a little bit more interaction between certain characters, because it feels like a lot of characters actually haven't, when you look at it like deeper down, really had much character building with other characters at all. So I'm hoping that they kind of make this like a big, nice, like good mess, you know? So we'll see how that pans out. But what I think is the takeaway is that they are really adapting those two Secret Wars storylines and bringing them together in a way. That's how I see it from what we've got from leaks and from what we've got here with this cast reveal. And this isn't the whole cast. There's been an announcement straight after, sort of an intimation. Robert Downey Jr. commented on this, saying all these amazing actors that are going to join, and I think Marvel had commented back saying there's always room for more or something like that. And I see there being more. There's characters, the big characters that they haven't got in there at all. You know, Spidey is one of them. There's others. Elizabeth Olsen, obviously, are they going to bring her back as Wanda? Is that going to happen? If not, are there going to be some of the Young Avengers in it? You know, we'll see how that pans out. Where's Nick Fury during all this? There's loads of questions still to be had. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of For What It's Nerd. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think we're going to see kind of a big representation of that first Secret Wars comic? And if so, are we going to see certain things like Spidey gaining his black suit. Is that going to kind of continue on in this movie? Who knows? Okay, right. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.